unmute. There we go. There we go. Your request has been answered, Katarina.
Wish it was that easy.
Who wants to go next?
Who's already been?
No, only me, and we've only just started.
Well, I'll just say hi, everyone. Sorry about the technical issue. To start with, usual stuff with me, I'm afraid. If I could go next, the only reason being, because all my times got changed around, Nikki, I might need to, to head off, if that's all right. But I just wanted to at least show my face this morning. So lovely to see you all again. So I don't know what time it is in your world, but anyway, so it was know, think, feel, and dream. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so yes, having a think about this as I would. So what I know is that Tetramap is, live and kicking in the UK and Europe, and it's great to see that we're still getting lots of interest and that people are really engaged with Tetramap, with the work that Nick is doing down in Saltbox and the work I'm continuing to do here. So, I do know that Tetramap's still a huge part to play and is still growing in strength, which is great news, I think, certainly for us here and in Europe. And, and I think what I do know is that with the new branding that's come out, it's just sky's the limit, because I just think it's amazing. I love the imagery, and I think with the steps that are being made there, I just feel that it's going to just continue to soar. I also know that this group is really important, and it's the more that we can keep it going, I think it will be, it will help and strengthen all of us as well, and what we can offer and bring, and how we can support Louise as well in things that TI are trying to do. So I definitely know that there is value and benefit in this, and so certainly worth exploring how we can continue to keep it going and make it really valuable. What I think is probably pretty much what I've just said in terms of what I think is that we need to perhaps, as Nikki and I had a little chat last week, and the purpose of this meeting is I do think we need to refocus on the purpose of it and make sure that it's a worthwhile use of all of our time. And I also think that if we can encourage more people to come along and join in, certainly I'll be encouraging Jo once she completes her master. But I think the more people that join us, the stronger we will be. How I feel, I feel I really like these meetings. I think it's just great to connect. It's just, the whole thing around Tetramap and keeping us all connected, I feel is really valuable. Even though I made a slight change last year, my personal commitment to Tetramap and everything has not changed at all. So, and I really value that connectivity with everyone around the globe, and certainly with Nikki here in the UK as well, because we keep each other sort of motivated and bounce ideas around. So I feel really positive about us as a group, and I feel that if we can continue to keep this strong and make it stronger, it will continue to make it better. My dream for Tetramap is, and for this group, we've just published our inclusive leadership report, and for me, this is something that has been a bit of a bugbear for me for many, many years in terms of leadership. And I think I've talked about this with everybody for years around how earth elements tend to be, the leaders or perceived to be the leaders, and what can we do about that? And so, my dream really is to increase awareness around leadership, and how we can have a more diverse leadership away from just the sort of gender and ethnic diversity, but make it more around how can we get more water elements into that leadership space and give them more confidence, and help them to have a voice at the table, and make that difference to the people in organisations. So that's me. Okay.
Fabulous.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay. Hi, Jan. Welcome.
Hi. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was there. I realized my video wasn't on, so
Okay.
I came in just as you started your bit, Nikki. So I didn't quite get the full brief, but I'm guessing what it's about.
Okay. Cool. Okay, that's great. Shall we carry on then? Who wants to go next with the know, think, feel dream? Anyone? Who's going to go next? Robin, do you want to go next?
I will, but I stand back because I'm always one of those people who jump in first, so I'm deliberately not.
No more standing back. Get
No,
on
no,
with it.
it's not in my style, but I'm learning, you see.
We love the way you come forward,
So-
Robin. Rely on it.
So I know that connecting at this level has been. I've just made some notes, so excuse me while I look at them just to make sure I stay on tune. It's really important for us. I think it's been very encouraging individually. I'm quite isolated here in Perth, so I really have appreciated that. So the connections that I've had by seeing people in person like Louise in New Zealand and Jan and so forth, but also in the UK and Birmingham, has made this much more meaningful. So the combination, this dual platform thing is really showing. And this is how we are moving forward as an organisation, face-to-face and some electronic connection. So for us to be comfortable with it and be able to use it effectively, really important leadership component. So I think I think we've already built a sense of team. I think your point, Nikki, about getting to know each other was a good platform for where we're up to. And I do sense a sense of collegiality now, having a little bit of what's going on in everybody's space. I thought that was your breakfast coming through, but then I realised it was the wrong person. It was Anne's door that got open.
That's someone. I think that's my call for about 10 minutes. Sorry,
Okay,
guys.
well, that was nice of them to give you some warning. I feel that, but like Nikki reflected, I feel we could drift if we don't focus clearly on our purpose. So I think it could be. I think I'll become dissatisfied, even though, as Anne has said, that the opportunity just to get together, look at each other, and I think it's good to have the video on if we can.
Yeah.
And it's this eyeballing thing, isn't it? But also just to be aware of each other's presence is really valuable for us. So I have a bit of the same sense that Nikki described. I wish I dream, and I wrote this down. I thought, God, it sounds bloody earthy, but never mind. I wish we could mobilise and take on clear tasks that will move our vision and culture forward a bit in the way that we talked about way back. And I'm also conscious about the needs of our certified Tetramap facilitators and thinking about what can we do that fills the gaps and the vacuums that they're experiencing. I'm not aware that we've had much conversation about where are they itching so we can scratch. And I think it would be good just to get a bit of a sense, and you're more likely to have that than I, because I'm not meeting up with many certified facilitators at the moment, about what their needs are and what we can do to help with that. I had a thought today, for example, something that passed my track because of an experience I had with people who were doing a Tetramap program with me, and they were speakers of English, second language speakers. Sorry, what am I saying? And they had to ask me. In fact, I ended up coaching them through the questionnaire component because they weren't clear about what some of the words meant. And it gave me the idea of maybe developing a set of cards with like a bit of a thesaurus type of definition of the words, so that we could help those in that space. And that would be an easy little thing for us to do, to make available, no cost, but one of those supplementary focused things that would add value. Now, I don't know whether that's a big enough need, but I sort of thought, yes, I could do that. Is it worthwhile? What are Tetramap facilitators asking for? So that's the bit that I'd like to see in the dream and visionary space.
Okay.
Fabulous. Thank you. Who wants to go next? Katarina, would you like to go next?
Sure. Kia ora, everyone.
Kia ora.
I know that my daily use of Tetramap is enhancing and adding value to my business. It's kind of like autopilot. It's an awesome thing that
every day in every way, every opportunity, whether it be on a personal level, whānau level, or in the work context, that I find a way to integrate Tetramap into conversations. And I feel hugely grateful still for the gift of Tetramap. I agree with what others have said about, but wait, there's more. There's so much more that we could be doing, and I guess being a part of this group, I feel very honoured to be part of the group. And kia ora, Raymond.
Oh, good.
Hi, Raymond.
Hi, I just finished training, so I'm driving, but I am using my mouthpiece. So no worry, I'm safe. Yes, thank you, Luis. Yeah, I just
Good
finished
old
the 2
Raymond.
days. Yeah, the 2 days program, the pathway to personal mastery success with Tetramap.
Right.
Yeah, so I
Right.
use the
Yeah.
4 elements, earth,
That's
air,
what
water, fire for 2 days. So it's a combination of outdoor and indoor programs.
Cool.
Right.
Raymond, what we're doing, we're just going around, everyone's just having a few minutes each to talk about what they know, think, feel and dream about this group. So Katarina's just having her go at the moment, so maybe we'll finish going around everybody else and come to you last to give you a chance to sort of get the gist of it. Would that be helpful?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, cool.
Kia ora. So I just said that I know my daily use of Tetramap is enhancing and adding value to my business. I feel
That might be Raymond's. That might be Raymond's thing. Might be his on it, you know. So maybe the rest of us need to mute so that the other one. I'll put my thing on mute so that we can hear. Go ahead, Katarina. Sorry.
I agree with others. I think there's much more potential, much more that we can be doing. And as in my own personal life and business, I think a bit more earth air into the mix would be a valuable. So I recall having a separate offline session with Raymond following one of these sessions where I wanted to find out a little bit more about one of the programs he was developing, and I was really excited about that. And I guess I'd like to have more of that, because I don't. When I look across the band of who we are and what we have to contribute, I don't
Okay.
think our potential is being maximised as a group. I'm really grateful, Nikki, for your work and you know, kind of the commitment that you've made and the role that you've played. And I guess there's a part of me that feels like that I could be doing more. And perhaps if I had a portfolio or a bit of a project or something, then that would be useful. So I wish I could do more to contribute to the group. Kia ora.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just writing notes here.
Sorry, Nikki and team, I'm just going to have to butt out now. Really sorry about that. I'd love to hear everybody else's, so I'm going to listen to the recording afterwards, if that's okay. But yeah, I've delayed my meeting for half an hour.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks.
Yeah, pleasure. Lovely to see you all. See you soon see you next time.
Take care. Bye.
See you soon, Lou. Catch up with you soon. Bye. Don't know how to leave you. Oh, there you go. Bye.
Okay. Jan, would you like to go next? You need to turn your mic on, Jan.
Just realised that. Is that better now?
Yes.
My technology. Okay, so I've got my video and my mic on now. Okay, so think, feel, no, think, feel, dream. Is that it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so what I know is that this is a very valuable group, and I think we've come a long way, and like others, I really appreciate what you've done, Nikki, bringing it here, and what Louise did by starting the whole thing off to start in the beginning. So I think what we've done and where we're at is a really good place, because the getting to know and connecting is a really solid foundation, and I think we needed to do that without too much structure, so that, you know, each session's been quite different and we can kind of work out what works for us, what doesn't. So I know that. I think, yes, probably right, it's a good time to take stock like everything, and not risk it going on and sort of losing its value and meandering a wee bit. So a really good time to take stock and probably put a little bit more structure into it. I also think it would be good to get other master facilitators in, because there must be, I know there are lots of others, I don't know where they are or what they're doing, so perhaps that could be one of our first structured activities, is to actually somehow contact all master facilitators, maybe divide it up between us, and, you know, ask them if they'd want to be involved, what would get them in, what's stopping them come in, and what would get them in, because I think as each of us, as we've come in, we thought, gosh, that's good, let's keep doing it. So structure around extending the group, it's no think. So feel, for me, quite honestly, the greatest value I see is professional development for me and for us as a group. I've already learnt lots. I like the fact that sometimes we just bounce around ideas. Sometimes, like when Raymond gave us feedback on what he'd been doing or you've been doing. So sharing of ideas for me is really useful, really valuable. But I guess to extend that further, it would be good to do something that challenges us. So maybe, like Katarina said, maybe it's a portfolio, maybe it's take a topic and instead, you know, presenting something. So I like to be given information and knowledge that from somebody else, but I also like to be challenged. So, you know, maybe it's a give of something, but then a challenge for everybody of, you know, how can we use this for conflict resolution, or what is the way it will add to diversity? You know, some big questions for us to consider, and I like that, sharing ideas. So my dream is that it keeps growing, that it's sustainable, that it gets bigger and wider, so it is bigger than all of us. It encompasses more people, but it encompasses bigger and greater ideas, so that we all slightly different at the end. You know, we've taken something on board, we've grown, but, you know, keeping in mind the value we've got already, which is around the collegiality, around the sharing, around the common values, because I think everybody's here for the same reason of, you know, as I'm saying, it's my professional development. It almost feels a little bit selfish, you know, hey, this is great for me. But on the other hand, I'm very, very willing and open to sharing anything I can that would be of value to others. So, yeah, I think that's mine.
Fabulous. Thank you.
And agree with everybody else.
Thank you. Louise, how about you? Louise?
So getting busy getting involved with everybody else's stuff, I forgot about my own. All right, so I know that this is an important and incredibly valuable group of people for Tetramap's future, and that the people who attend these meetings give a great deal, and I want to make sure that, you know, it's that give-gain thing, that everybody gives something more, and everybody gains something. I also know that this kind of community is unique. There are very few other organisations around the world who you would put in our bracket that do this kind of thing, where people come at 10 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock to do this kind of thing for, you know, for everyone's benefit. And that is really the essence of Tetramap, and that is all down to you guys. So that's huge. I think that we enjoy getting together, but we need to have a common purpose, and to get some more value for getting together at different times of the day and night. And that's how I think. I feel the burden of responsibility, having taken it forward for 3 years, lies with everyone. And there are others in the group who perhaps could share some of the burden of responsibility. I'm eternally grateful for Nikki for stepping up and stepping forward to take on this leadership thing. And I have discussed with Nikki about, you know, the value that that's adding to her. So, you know, huge appreciation in that. And I wish, I dream that we could actually get together in person. Maybe we make a, you know, a definite date to do that, because I love meeting people like this. There is, if you really do plan it, there is a way that we could actually do that, and that's what I would like to do. My specific thing that I am planning to do this year is to focus on a professional development pathway for certified Tetramap facilitators. And I would like to be able to use the skills of this group to create some of those modules, to give acknowledgement to the master facilitators, and to bounce ideas off, so that if I say, well, this is an outline of what I think we could include, or maybe we could do some kind of survey or something like that, because we did that big survey last year and we were told that people want more development, right? They want more professional development. So we found a way to give that, and we've set up the system. So we've got a system for doing it, but now we need the content. And I think the content should be, I've got my ideas of how I think the content should be structured, but I want this group to be involved with that and to help me have ownership of it, because it's for the benefit of all certified facilitators. So that's my vision, is that by the end of this year, we have that professional development. Actually, no, not by the end of this year, but by the end of the first quarter, let's say that we have the plan done, and then we start it in the middle of the year. We can always keep going. We can always amend it. We can always change it. We can always improve it. And there's nothing to stop us testing, learning, iterating, and putting it out there. So that's kind of what I have in my mind as a specific thing that I think would be beneficial to this group, beneficial to certified facilitators, and beneficial to Tetramap International, because I think there are a lot of certified facilitators who come on the course. It's a one-off wonder for them. They do it in their own thing, and they have no idea about this wider community. So that's my personal, I suppose, my personal wish. And I think that's about Tetramap's legacy. And I'm starting to think 5 years from now, you know, when others in this group have maybe stepped back a bit, there'll be another group coming forward that will continue this legacy going on. So that's kind of my brain, where I am with this. And I'm eternally amazed and thrilled and grateful, and all those wonderful words that people, you know, that we are actually here together in this journey. That's me.
Fabulous. Thank you, Louise. Raymond, are you there? Can you hear us? I think we might have lost him. Are you still there, Raymond?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm driving, so now I was muting myself. So now I'm back to unmute already. I can speak now? Yeah.
Okay. So if we're doing what I know, what I think, what I feel, and what I wish or dream for this group, or for Tetramap.
Yeah. And so what happens that, and I this TGLG actually have existed for quite a while already, but I always have these feelings. It's like the connections amongst the master Tetramap facilitator was like only once a while, and I don't quite really know each other. So that was my feeling in the past, and I always have the feeling of very lonely as a master Tetramap facilitator in Asia. So that was what I had this feeling in the past. I always feel that, wow, so what I'm doing, and I really don't know what happened to the rest of the part of the world. And I also sometimes also not very sure that what I'm doing, whether am I doing something right, am I doing something that not sure. So that was my feeling. Recently that and with this Zoom TGLG meeting, actually I am much feel that I get to know each other, at least now that I see the image. I didn't put on my video now because I'm driving, so I don't want to get myself distracted. Yeah. So but really that this last few meeting, and I can feel that much connected with every one of you. Yeah. So this is how I see the TGLG had brought all of us to a closer relationships. Yeah, so this is what how I feel now. I actually I had also have a small little dream. Is that while what I've been doing was in Singapore, I also building the community of all the Tetramap facilitator, and I shared previously using the various way, and I use a WhatsApp group, and I use the once a while every month, or now I reduce to every quarter. I mean, the rest of you, some of you call it as a learning day, and I call it as Tetra Connect. So basically, I connect with the rest of the facilitator in Singapore, those who wanted to come, at least at once a quarter, and we meet up, and then we share about some of the development. Then I share a little bit about some of the design. So this is how I feel that it is so important to build the community, build the tribe, and so that people that not only just learn about the content, how to be the Tetramap facilitator, but at the same time, how we could learn together, we grow together, at the same time, develop and contribute back to the community with new programs and new possibility. Yeah. So my bigger dream now is also that it will be good that if we, in fact, that my Earth element is very telling me that why wait? Why don't make it happen this year, 2019, and we should have a convention at one of the city. It could be in London, it could be in New Zealand, it could be in Malaysia, it could be in Bangkok, in any country. Just decide one, and then we have this first Tetramap International Convention, and then we just make it happen, and then see how many of the Tetramap facilitator could come, and then to share, and then to do something, and then we can even contribute with some community service or some work that give back to society. Yeah, so this is the little dream and the 5 elements of me wanted to create in 2019. Yes, that's my sharing.
Thank you. Thanks, Raymond. Wow, that was nice. Thank you, everybody. Any sort of particular reflections or thoughts on that, having heard what everybody's had to say?
Yes, I have some specific things that I want to put out there. Robin, I want to come to Perth and deliver something alongside you. I'm particularly interested in the numbers of Māori living in Perth, so I've got a particular interest in doing something in Perth within the Māori community. Raymond, I would love to come to Singapore at some point as well. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Cool.
In fact, I have a trip planned to Bali in July, and you know. So anyway, Raymond and Robin, I will talk to you more about that.
And you probably know that Bali and Perth are only so close, so that's a possible connection there. Just one immediate thought: there's a Facebook group that I'm vaguely attached to called, which is basically Māori in Perth. So that will be it's often used for selling things and, you know, who's doing this with their whānau, but there's a group that exists that we could lean on. So I'll give that some thought.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so I mean, it sounds from sort of my reflection on hearing what everybody has said is sort of common themes. I've been frantically writing lots of notes here, but you know, common themes are that everybody has found it really useful to connect with each other and get to know each other and, you know, become real people to each other and create that sort of community together. So that it feels there's quite a common theme also about, yes, let's now agree what we're going to do. Let's make some stuff happen and decide what those things are. The other theme I think that came out was about membership and trying to get more master facilitators involved in this group. so they were the kind of 3 key things that stood out for me. I don't know if I might have missed, there might be some other key things there that I've missed. They were the ones that really stood out for me. Is yes, it's useful, let's carry on. B, let's kind of actually be clear about what we're going to do next. And C, let's get some more people involved. So I don't know what else, if there's anything else that we need to focus on that I haven't picked up on there.
I just think I want to say that it is important to acknowledge, because I think it's a trap all the time, to acknowledge the success all the time of what we're doing. So kind of constantly reflecting, just like we have now, which is really valuable. What is the value of it? What have we got out of it? What are we achieving? Because you, Nikki, and prior to that, Louise, have put a lot of effort into it. And there's always a risk we start to go, this is what else we should be doing, and not actually taking the time to say this is valuable. I think we've just done that really well. Mm-hmm. The companionship, the sharing, the collegiality is really valuable. So, not sure if I'm being very clear there, but it's about celebrating and acknowledging that as well. So you're building on it, not always looking for something else. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
But also good to be challenged too. Keen on that.
I think we might have lost Robin somewhere. She's disappeared.
Can I add something on here, Nikki, that you and I
yeah.
had the discussion the last time? At the end of the day, the skills of this group are, and everybody's got to get something out of it that they want to, but the skills of this group for us as a whole is to help to bring more people into the Tetramap fold. And by that, I mean through using our capabilities to help each other market, to think about conferences we could attend, to think about how we, promote Tetramap we talked before about to a sustainability network, in a learning conference, in these other opportunities, because we also do need to think about expanding our reach as a group, both for our individual business and for Tetramap's sustainable future. So that's just something that I think everybody here has got a good view of marketing. There's lots of different things that we've done. We've redone the branding. We talked about providing some more marketing things. So I think as well, originally the TGLG did create some sort of marketing vision, which was the one that we did for the first 3 years. And I found that really good, but I also found it quite difficult to get some marketing content back from the facilitators. So, I can only talk about Tetramap so much. It's got to come from the facilitators saying this is how it's adding value, or get the clients to talk about that, because that's what will help build our overall success and our overall brand. So that is something that perhaps we could, that's something that we would all have an interest in contributing to. That's me.
Okay. Okay. So what are our next steps then? I've just got my eye on the time here. We've only got about 13 minutes left, so I'm conscious of just needing to focus on what next. And I suppose in my head, I've got a couple of things which I'm thinking. One is that there's the opportunity to start to pull some ideas together kind of offline outside of the meeting via email or whatever, in terms of key actions or key things that we want to move forward, and we can probably do that after this session. And I don't mind, I've written quite a lot of notes from our conversations. I know we've got the recording as well, but if I write up the notes and I can sort of highlight some of the things that have been mentioned as perhaps projects that we could put into place or activities that we could do, and we can maybe circulate that and potentially add to it. My sense, and I don't know whether this is right or not, but I'm always very conscious of you know, we're all really busy. We're trying to earn a living and all the rest of it. And, you know, that whatever we agree to do is kind of going to be, needs to be stuff that we can realistically fit in with that, and that helps us within our own work as well. But my sense is that everybody's got particular areas of interest that people are working on. So it might be that we can kind of, you know, have a lead person for different areas, different activities. But the other thing that I'm just very conscious of is I like the idea, I can't remember who said it, about, you know, each having a few other master facilitators that we each approach separately and try to encourage to get involved. I think that kind of shares the load a bit, because one of the things I've been very conscious of is, you know, at the start of this process, Louise gave me a list of all the master facilitators, and I contacted everybody, and those of us pretty much around this table now or on this screen now are the ones that came back and said, yes, I'll be involved. And there's a whole load of others out there that that haven't got involved at all. And, you know, I've not wanted to kind of hassle or pressure people, but I do think that there is scope there for doing a little bit more kind of proactive talking to people and saying, look, this is what we do, this is kind of how you can input. Can you or would you get involved and commit in some way? So if that was to be sorry,
yeah, if I could just come in to build on that. It was me suggested we should all contact them, and I think, but we don't want to all be doing different things. So thinking that through as you were talking and as I was thinking about it would be, and that was my first question. I was going to say, how was everybody contacted at the beginning? And I don't know, Louise, you know, exactly how many master facilitators they are, but perhaps if we agreed on 2 or 3 questions and then, divide it up and decide whether we email or phone, but so that it is a personal contact. And in my head, I was thinking the approach is, you know, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a master facilitator, I'm actively involved in TGLG. We just wanted to check if there's any value in it for you. I think one of the really important questions to ask everybody is why they're not involved, because it may be that Tetramap's not part of what they do. They think they haven't got the time, you know, like a valid reason. And if we, it's like doing any survey, if we all had 3 or 4 set questions, then we'll have some consistent language back. So I think it would be introduce ourselves and say what we are. Did they know about TGLG? Because people forget it.
Excuse me, sorry. Sorry.
Why haven't they been involved? What would make them, you know, get involved, and what would they like to get out of it? And that could just give us a little, I'm thinking we want to keep it quite simple. We don't want it too major, but spread it out. And if it's only a small group of us that see the value, well, so be it. But it would be good to actually reach out and see why others aren't coming in. And if getting up in the middle of the night is a problem for people, or in the morning, well, you know, we'll just accept that. It works for us and we do it. But those are my thoughts around that.
Can I just come back in on what Jan said? One of the things that I think our discussion today has helped us with is what exactly is this group and how does it work? And we're saying what we get out of it. And I think that at the moment we would need to be a little sharper about what's in it for them, the WIFM factor. So we've talked about the communities thing, which is really important, but there's also the professional development thing, which is really our interpretation, each individually, of what we've got from these sessions. You know, for example, Raymond's session last time I thought was very much a professional development piece for me, thinking about opportunities and what could be done, and you know, really sort of blew my mind about how someone is really taking it to that level. But I think we'd have to be able to give them an offer of what the group means, and that's getting tighter. But for me, I don't think it's quite tight enough to do, no, it's not a sell job, to do a marketing opportunity positioning thing for what we are. But we're so close. And linked to that, even though it might not be too tightly linked, I think Raymond's idea of a convention internationally, if it was far enough away so that it was reachable, I'm thinking 2020, would give a focus in the future, and thinking about the stuff that we could put into a program like that would be an accelerant for us as well, I think. So I think there's something in that idea that is worth exploring that is linked to the sense of community and engaging further and wider grouping. I think the breadth and the depth of what we've got is what we need to focus on for the sustainability thing that Louise mentioned.
And so if I could come back in on that, because I was with some friends earlier, and when I said that you know, I had to watch 10 o'clock and come and do this. And obviously when they said, what is it? And I kind of just said, oh, we'll get together. But it hit me. I thought, I need an elevator pitch. I didn't really explain what that was. And I'm actually wondering though, Nikki, that just with the notes you've taken tonight, I think it's probably just about there. It might be somebody, you know, this is called delegation, but somebody with Robin's really nice marketing comm spiel, that when she gets these notes, it just might jump out at her if we're really lucky.
I'll give it a first draft.
I'm happy to follow up what you do.
Good.
I love kind of then looking at it and going, but if you have a first go, and I think it's probably there. It's probably been said tonight. It's probably there in the notes. How does anybody else feel about that?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And that's what we share. This is what I'm part, you know, this is what I'm part of. This is why I'm part of it. Would you be interested for this, and what's stopping you doing it?
Yeah.
I think that's it in a nutshell.
It's a good angle.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, people who've done the Master Facilitator program, connecting with other Master Facilitators around the world is what they want. And that's what is crucial for them. So I think, you know, like we've got a couple of new people interested, going to start this program again, coming up shortly. Raymond knows that Vivian from Hong Kong and people like that are going to join the program next time. So she's from the different generation, the younger generation. So we need to continue that energy for them so that they will then become the future. So I think that is really a great idea. And the value that people get from it does also help in their marketing too, because people like to talk about, I'm part of a global leadership group. This is what we do. This is one of the reasons why it makes Tetramap different. This is how we share our ideas, and this is what we develop together. It's quite unique, and I don't think we should overlook that personally. Really is important to people.
Yeah.
Excuse me, my breakfast just arriving.
Oh, let's give the man a clap.
Yes. Yeah, I would like to add on something. I would like to add on some things about the next few Master Tetramap Facilitator. Yeah, I know that Vivian from Hong Kong and also Jack Wong from Singapore, both of them have indicated their interest to be Master Tetramap Facilitator. And both of them are young and very energetic and very enthusiastic. Yeah, so it is important for us that how we can continue to motivate them. So one of my things that I noticed and I learned is that many of the certified Tetramap facilitator, I can say almost like 85% that I had certified, that once they get certified, 85% of them really touch the Tetramap. Only 15%, maximum is 20% that they are still actively involved in Tetramap. So, and I also noticed about even our TGLG, our Master Tetramap Facilitator, not all are active. So it is something that we need to think about, that how we could keep the energy going. I think professional development is just only one, and I feel another important factors is also that what is it in it for them. So I knew the motivation for Vivian and Jack Wong and why they want to go on to Master Tetramap Facilitator. So not necessarily that people want to go become an MTF is because that they want to connect with the rest of the MTF. Not necessarily all MTF are basically not necessarily they want to contribute back to the Tetramap community, right? So we need to know the motivation, and so that we can keep up with the Master Tetramap Facilitator. So this is my thought. Yeah, and I have one more thing to suggest is also that Tetramap is also very closely associated with Bucky's work. I have this idea and these suggestions, which I have suggested about 3 years ago. And there is this Bucky's birthday celebration every year in July by a gentleman. His name is Dato' Lim Chong Kiat from Malaysia. He's a Malaysian Chinese, and he's a very good friend of Bucky. And before Bucky passed on, and Bucky actually held the annually, he call it something like every year they meet up once. It's called conversion or some. Okay, I slip my mind. So every year they have these events. And the final few years before Bucky passed on, it was actually held at Penang. And this Dato' Lim Chong Kiat is the one that hosted the last few events. Yeah, I met Dato' Lim over the last 3 years, and I attended 3 years in Penang Hill, where actually this Bucky stayed in that hotel, and the room that Bucky stayed, actually they preserve it. Yeah, and I also have conducted 2 of the Tetramap certification course at their locations. So they had a beautiful geodesic dome and built on the hilltop. So it is beautiful that, and on the hilltop we look out to the whole Penang, and then in the geodesic dome. So I did an activity. I brought all the students, the Tetramap facilitator, into the geodesic dome, and then we used a newspaper to build the geodesic dome. So you imagine in the open air and look out to the beautiful island, and then in the geodesic dome, we are building the geodesic dome. Yeah, so what I'm suggesting is that if we seriously want to consider to do something meaningful, we could plan for 2020 July and tie in with Bucky's birthday, and we have conventions in Malaysia. And Dato' Lim will be very, very happy if this thing could happen. First of all, he recognized my effort about Tetramap, and he accepted and allowed me to facilitate the Tetramap certification course at his hotel 2 times. Yeah, so this is just one thing. I feel that there could be also one opportunity that we can really bring back the linkage of Bucky with Tetramap. What else could be better that if you do it where Bucky's have done this before he passed on the venue. Yeah, so this is some of my thoughts. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I have to say I do love the idea of actually getting us all together from all around the world and having a big event. I think that you know, how long that would take to actually make happen and what would be a realistic sort of timescale for that, I'm not sure, but it would be an amazing thing to do if we can make that work.
Can I just throw in a suggestion on that? So that we keep using our tools, and as Louise knows, I'm a real fan of our planning tool. So, sorry, this is just off the top of my head, a fire thing, and it's okay if you don't think it's a good idea, but I'm just thinking, like, Raymond's just kind of put that out there, maybe July 2020. Could we, in our next session or somewhere along the line, or maybe do it by email, let's just do a quick, why are we doing this? You know, earth, air, water, fire, in terms of planning. What would we need to do to make that work? What would be the benefits? How would we make it work? Just because I just really think, when I know with the planning, the more you use it, the more you are likely to use it. And always had the discussion, I love it so much, I don't understand why lots of other people don't use it. But I know that it's because I use it, and I then get ideas of how to use it more, and it opens things up. So I'm not sure whether it would be within this forum separately, but maybe we just literally, I'm happy to facilitate that if you wanted me to. We just literally go through that model, professional development, everybody's using the model, and maybe it just gets us, because, you know, we might do it and say, no, it's too soon, we can't do it, but maybe we could work a way to do it.
I love the connection with our own PD. I think that's really going to be valuable. I love it.
Jan, I would love if you would be happy to grab on, and somebody's saying I can do that. So just to pick up on that, I would be great if you were happy to facilitate that process. I don't know whether it would be easier to do it via a video meeting like this or offline, you know, via email or whatever. Leave that open to other people to decide what might work best.
Just a response on that part of the value of that is a sparking off ideas. So I think a Zoom thing like this, I would think would be ideal. It would change it to something else, trying to do it by email or anything. You've got to spark off ideas as we are here. That's where the real value of that is.
So should we set I mean, we have got a program of some dates and times for Zoom calls anyway, which one of the things I did want to check in before we finish really was just about the sort of timings and so on of those, but to sort of allocate, you know, I don't see why it couldn't be the next one unless there's other things that we need to talk about before then, but to allocate the next one to having a go at that process. How would that sound?
Yeah, I think those could be our 2 key actions perhaps is, and if you can send us some information or like between us get some ideas of and get from Louise who the master facilitators are, contact master facilitators so we're feeding back and do a make our next session if that suits everybody else. You and our fires are working on that quite well, Nikki. What does everybody else think?
Any thoughts, Louise?
I'm just reading Raymond's notes. Yeah, I think one thing that we need to do is just capture all of the projects that people would like to work on. I really like Katariina's idea about having a responsibility for a specific portfolio of something, because I think checking in on your portfolio as a matter of what we do is a good accountability type thing. So that could be something else that we could think about doing maybe at the following meeting. What's the portfolio you want to look after? What blah, blah, blah. So somebody could take, you know, marketing, somebody could take organising the conference, somebody could take helping me with the professional development pathway, somebody could take the sustainability and conferences together, you know, just thinking about like that. I think that would be excellent way to go forward. And then if we get another group coming, then they can be allocated to one of us. And then that way we've got a, you know, we got somebody who hasn't been at all these other meetings, but they help us with our portfolio. I don't know, that's just an idea off the top of my head. But yeah, happy to participate in the planning session because like Jan, we do it all the time. We don't understand why it's not a valuable tool for others, but if the master facilitators buy into it, it's going to make a big difference in terms of our facilitators getting to understand the value of it.
Great.
Fantastic. And I agree about the kind of portfolio, sort of having a specific area that we are each working on. And it would be great to be able to think we can have these meetings and come back and report back on, you know, what we're each doing on those specific areas that we're working on, and you know, sort of share what actions we've taken and get other people's input and so on. I think that would be great. It sort of feels to me like what I do need to do is go away and get these kind of notes into a bit of a, you know, write them up, but with highlighting the key things in terms of specific portfolio areas and specific actions that we've agreed, and a kind of a bit of a plan for next steps really, which maybe will link in then to the program for meetings for the, I think, I can't remember off the top of my head, I think we had dates for these calls scheduled maybe up until about April, May, if I remember rightly. So, you know, I could kind of tie that in with sort of trying to put together a bit of a plan for the rest of the year. One of the things that I suppose that I did really, before we finish, I'd really like to check out with people, because I'm very conscious that, you know, everybody's been amazing and getting up in the middle of the night and all sorts of things to do this, and the timings of the meetings, because Alex has, you know, wanted to be part of the group, and I'd always timed them so that it wasn't too inconvenient for Mexico as well, but actually hasn't joined any of the meetings. So I just want to kind of check in really how people are feeling about times of meetings, and, you know, is it, and I've obviously tried to rotate it so everybody gets a chance to do the 5 o'clock in the morning slot, everybody gets a chance to do the midnight slot, whatever, and that we rotate that. Is that working? Would it be better? Because I'm conscious, like with this one, because Alex isn't here, it's meant that we could bring it forward and make it a bit less inconvenient for everybody, really. And obviously I never know quite who's going to be on each call until just before it. So I don't know, what are your thoughts about kind of times of meetings and how that's working just on a practical level, just so that I can make sure that whatever I sort of schedule is going to work for people?
I think it's working quite well the way you're scheduling it, and I think the way you sent it out this time and gave everybody plenty of time, said would it work to change it, and we all went yes or no, and then you were able to change it. So the consultation's great. It's never going to work for everybody, but I think the way you're rotating it works really well. Well done.
Okay, I mean, I can just carry on doing what I'm currently doing if that's okay with people, but I just wanted to check in, really, because if anyone's going, oh no, there's a much better way of doing it, then you know, I'm happy to do it a different way. I don't know what that better way might be, but I'm really open to that if people do have other suggestions.
I think what you did this time was a significant move forward for all of us, and it made it really clear, and we can also see quite quickly who's been compromised, like Alex has got the bad run this time. So I thought it was a great way of setting it out, Nikki. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, I will carry on then doing it in much the same way. Okay, I'll just make a note of that.
I think, Nikki, like everybody said, it's always going to inconvenience some people, and there are always going to be some times where somebody's got a workshop on, or they can't make it, or they're overnight, or whatever it might be. And I think we just have to accept that. But you see a core group of people who are turning up time and again, and I think that's kind of where we need to be. But maybe if we have these portfolios, we can connect slightly easier time frames, because I connect quite often with Dan, for example, in the US. Now, he's the same sort of time zone as Alex, and it's quite hard for him. But I know, I was speaking to him last week, he was quite keen to get involved. So let's just keep going and see what we do.
Right.
You will find, that was why when I first did the Master Facilitator program, I used to do the webinars twice, because I tried to cater for everybody's time zone, but it wasn't particularly great, just the way it is.
Okay.
Katarina?
Yes.
Anything to add?
No, I just agree, Nikki, and I try to prioritize these when they come up. So, but I don't have the next few meeting dates in my diary, so I need to get them in quickly.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe we could, rather than, you did that spreadsheet or that schedule, Nikki, maybe what people are getting more used to relying on is sending them a calendar invite, and that way it's in their calendar.
Right, okay.
Because it does actually, Outlook does automatically, or whatever you use, does automatically put it into the right time zone if you send it.
Right, okay. I have to say, just in terms of the whole thing about learning and professional development, one of the things that I haven't mentioned, but for me, just doing this has been, as we know from was it the last one where you all showed up a day early because I messed up over the time differences. But there's definitely, partly in terms of that, just working globally and connecting in with people around the world has been a new thing for me and has been really useful, and I've learned a lot from that. But also just doing the, I've been part of kind of Zoom meetings and Skype meetings before, but not meetings where we're actually trying to get stuff done. It's just been more kind of, webinar type things, that kind of thing. So this has been really useful for me, just in terms of developing my own skills and confidence at being able to operate in this way. So thank you all for your patience and support with that as well. But I've certainly learned a lot just from doing that. Okay, it's 10:15 or 12 minutes past 10. So are there any other things that anybody wants to say before we close? Okay, well, I will spend some time trying to put together, I'll try and make these notes as useful as I possibly can and highlight particularly all the key sort of actions and next steps and so on that we've talked about, and hopefully from that'll give us the basis then to move forward. And I will look at the schedule of dates and times and try and plan that for the year and share that as well, with using Outlook as well, all the invitations for that. And we'll look at our next one, which again, I haven't got the date in front of me. There is a date for it, so I'll circulate that as well. But if we use the next one as an opportunity to have a go at the why are we doing this, and begin a planning process for a real life gathering in next year, hopefully. And Jan, I'll check with you, Jan, about your availability for that meeting as well, if you're going to facilitate that one. But that would be brilliant.
Nikki, can I just say, when we get your notes, how about we look for where we can see we can contribute something and go back to you with our hand up, so that it's not just a piece of paper that we file like minutes. It's almost an invitation to get involved. How would
that was kind of what I had anticipated anyway. Maybe that was implicit in my head, that I'll send it out and then you'll all come back and go, yes, I can do that. So I kind of, but yes, thank you. I'll make that clear in the notes as well. And I'll kind of make it clear where it needs someone to say, yes, I will now do this, or whatever as well. So thank you, Robin. Okay. Right. Well, thank you, everybody. Hope you all have a good day, or a good evening, or a good night, or whatever. And I'll look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Oh, Raymond's stopped driving. Hi, Raymond. Nice to see your face.
He's gone.
Hello and goodbye, I think.
Yes, I stopped driving. That's how I can put on my video now. Yes, I know. Thank you. Yeah, it's a great session.
Yes.
We really need this kind of energy. And beside the content, the professional development, I think the TGLG, we should also continue to look at how else that we could bring in new development. So that really to bring Tetramap beyond where we are today. So this is really that my vision, that to bring Tetramap and to create a lot more things that we can bring forward, and that will keep our CTF. And then they will come back and they'll do more with Tetramap with all of us.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you. I will put the recording wherever it goes and share it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right. See you later, everyone. Night.